Hi everybody. So today I wanted to look at the transit. I felt it was fun last week. It was just a 5-minute video on universal love, and it was kind of my favorite topic. So I could not help myself then speak about it. And I've been posting a lot this week because I just really love the 25 that makes us go back to innocence and kind of have that mind and heart of a child before anything bad ever happened. So, and I also like that this week, or that last week, we went into the 25 after having been in the ring of divinity and the emotion center for a long time with those more heavy gene keys like 36 that make us go into what is human suffering and why. We had been in 22 about dishonor and finding grace in this, like through that shadow. We had been in the 63 about doubt. So all these gene keys that were in, or gates that were in the emotional center, and kind of heavy. And then we went into the G center that is about love, direction, knowing who we are, and accepting what is, and tuning into this feeling of love, and that there is no problem. Um, and now we're taking one more step up in the body graph, and we are in the ajna. So actually, let me make it even more clear for us by sharing. So this is a website, or this is a page I really like. So we can tap on Google Jovian archive just now, and then we get the chart for the transits right now. And when I say transits, it's about where are the planets right now. So right now, as I'm recording this, we just went into the 17th gate, and you can see it's a line 1. So we just went into it. We're going to go through 6 lines, so it's about 1 line per day. So it's in this, we have 6 lines, so 6 days or 5.7 days in each transit, in each gene key. So now, like I was saying, we were here in the emotional center for many transits. We went up to the 25 in the G center, and now we are in the mind, in the ajna. And we can also see that now we have the channel here between the 62 and the 17. So we have, when there is a channel that connects two centers, those centers become defined. So especially if you have an open throat or an open ajna in your own chart, you might feel this activation more strongly. And you might, there might be things in the way you think, and in the way you can be precise, and in the way you can conceptualize this week. So this is interesting to look at, or to feel into more than anything. And actually, so this is one of the sites that I really like to just know. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it feels like, I don't know, I can feel so many strange emotions right now. What does this come from? And then often it's because this center is defined, or for example, I have the 41. So now when the 30 is active, I get this channel, and then in my blueprint, those 2 centers are defined, and then of course I can feel that. So the other site that I also love to go to is the society site, the Gene Key Society, because here we have the living library that has so much information and that we can play around with. So now, actually, this is a programming partner of the 17, that goes from Intellect to Precision to Impeccability. So this is also activated this week. Let's go to the 17th. So here you basically can navigate. You just click on the gene key. Then you pull up. Take some time. Good to pause, like Richard says. Okay, so this week we are in 17, and it goes from opinion to far-sightedness to omniscience. So here, when I speak about the frequency band, usually you've probably heard me say that the shadows are contraction. They're like really, really contracted. And then as we go, when we increase in frequency on the frequency band, it opens up, it expands. So if we think about it, opinion, it's like, this is what I think and nothing else, it's pretty narrow. And then far-sightedness is zooming out and having a wider perspective. So it's more expansive. And then omniscience means, you know, the eye of God seeing everything. So then it's really, really expansive. And I kind of like to use this example because it is the gene key that we have in the ajna, in the mind. So it means that we can grasp it with the left brain much more than if we would have taken a gene key maybe in the emotional realm or even the splenic. It's kind of harder to conceptualize. So this really makes it clear. We can see that, yeah, okay, it really goes from contraction, from fear, to love or expansion. That's really how all the gene keys work. That's how the frequency band works. You can also see the programming partner. So if you're familiar with the Rave Mandala and know how we walk the wheel, basically how we have this wheel that is the astrological wheel with the 12 signs, and then outside of it we put 64 gene keys. And then the same way that we would go, right now we're in Aries, and then we go into Taurus, like the same way that we go in the astrological wheel with the astrological signs, we also follow with the gene keys. But we have only 12 signs, so we change those every month. But with the gene keys, we have 64. That's why we're changing them every 5.7 days. So it's just mathematics. It's pretty simple. So when we are in the wheel, we are in 17th. And if we look at the other side of the wheel, we're going to find the programming partner, which is really like going hand in hand with the gene key that is activated. And you can see that, you know, opinion and judgment, of course, they go together. Far-sightedness and integrity goes together, and omniscience and perfection. And also knowing that we can use for example, the gift frequency of the programming partner. So when we when we are in the shadow, it's kind of, we have made a knot of something, like it's really contracted and it's kind of tangled up. And what we can use sometimes to start to untangle is that we use the gift frequency of the programming partner. So if we are stuck in judgment, for example, and we feel like there's no other way of seeing this, then it's kind of the programming partner asks us to zoom out and be, okay, is there a way where you can include more and see this in another way? Or when we have a lot of opinion and we are very narrow, the thing is like, maybe we have forgotten, we are not completed integrity. Maybe to be in integrity, we need to include also what other people think in order to be more fair, in order to be less subjective and more objective. So really, it's beautiful to be able to use the programming partner when we feel stuck, when we feel like, oh, there's no way out. Then we look at that and it helps us. We can say something about the codon ring as well. So we were in the 25th, now we are in the 17th. This is the codon ring of humanity. You can read about this by scrolling down, and you will have information in the codon ring. You can go to astrology, like I was saying, and look at that. We can also look at integral human design. So this is something as well I wanted to touch upon, because if you are familiar with human design, you're going to see that this is different. It kind of says the same thing, but with a little bit of a different language. Sorry. So here, what we call circuitry in human design is called stream here. So what we would say collective circuitry in human design is the stream of service, which is kind of the same, because when you are in the collective, you are there to see what serves the whole, right? So the stream of service is a really adequate name for the circuitry. And here we have this channel I was showing you before that is activated. And when we take the gift frequency, it's far-sightedness and precision. And you can see that if you would need to organize something, you would like to have those two qualities, because that would lead you to be able to plan, to be able to see, to be able to communicate, to be able to include everybody in the project. So it is really, I can say, you know, it's about thinking in this center, and it's about seeing and thinking, right? So that's the theme of the week. And let's go back to see. So again, so those two centers are activated. If you don't have them activated in your chart, you might feel this channel more present in your life. You might be able to be, you know, if you have open ajna in your chart, you're somebody who can have a lot of different ideas to kind of might, you know, it might not be very judgmental. You can just hold one idea tomorrow and today and something else tomorrow. And maybe you will see that this week you're a little bit more kind of precise in how you think and how you conclude things, and just interesting to feel into that. And maybe it's also easier to express what you think this week if you have the throat open, for example. And there are many ways of playing with this, because of course it's not only the transits that activates our open centers, we also do it with each other. So if we have two people and the other person have this, we will have this activated. So it's not always that clear, but it can be good to think about it. What more can we say? We can see that there is quite a lot of activations in the head center. So both in the nodes, and then we have it in those faraway planets, Neptune and Pluto. And Pluto is, it's said to kind of be the soul in astrology. So we are asked to, in the 61, it has to do with inspiration. It has to do with a great mystery. So those kinds of things are kind of open and activated right now in the chart, and not so much to, the shadow frequency would be to like want to know everything and explain the great mystery, the questions that, the big questions that can't be explained. That would be the psychosis, the shadow frequency of the 61. We also have two completely open centers. So it can be a week to think about, where are we going, who are we, what is love, and make sure that we know that inside of ourselves. So it's not different depending on who we are with or where we are, or that we need to be with a certain person in order to feel love, or we need to be with a certain person in order to have a direction. So those kinds of questions. And also the ego center is about needing to prove ourselves by doing things, not feeling that we have an inherent worthiness just by existing, just by who we are. So those questions can also be looked at this week, and feeling into that, feeling into not having to overpromise, not having to do a lot of things in order to be loved, in order to be accepted. And then of course, if you guys have the hanging gate, the other gate on the other side of what's activated, you will have the whole channel, and then both centers, both sides will be activated. So that's also something to feel into, something to know about this week. Yeah, I think that was all. So stop sharing. So yeah, this is a little bit about what's activated this week, and also how you can start to just use those free websites, Jovian and the Gene Key Society website with the Living Library. There is so much information, so there's not really any need to buy a bunch of books, any need to learn everything, but just basically by looking at the transits every week and see what's activated, you can kind of take that week to learn about that Gene Key. And then you have, in a year, you have walked the wheel, and you have looked at everything. That can be a good way of learning. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and let's do the same thing next week. Bye.